there are a lot
Mm,
of people on the internet who
mm,
are confident and wrong. And I think what people used to say back in the day was that UI was just somewhere in between, like quite average. When I was in high school, like I was really upset about the result of a round, and she told
mm.
me to never blame the judge. I'm sorry if this answer comes off as very cold, but if we're that close, I probably conflict that person. If I didn't conflict that person, that means that.
Hmm.
So, hukum kesehatan itu sendiri ngebahas hal-hal kayak kewajiban hukum terkait the way we carry out healthcare. So, what the government does, what they're allowed to do when it comes to doctors. Hospital took the initiative to explain to us why, like, the long process was necessary. Apparently, they were victims of like litigious frauds that cost them up to like
Hmm.
1 billion and so on and so forth.
Hai semua, ketemu lagi dengan saya Nila di Behind the Speech. Ini tempatnya para debater Indonesia ngobrolin hal-hal di balik podium. Dan tamu kita minggu ini aku datangkan spesial dari UI karena kita sebelumnya belum pernah ngobrol dengan debater UI. Nah, sekarang waktunya kita ngobrol dengan salah satu debater UI-nya. But before that, aku pengen ngingetin teman-teman untuk subscribe, like, dan juga share ke teman-teman kalian yang memang ingin belajar dari debater-debater yang sudah melalang buana di sirkuit ini. Oke? Nah, without further ado, let's we call Keisha. Hai Keisha.
Yay! Hi, Kak! It's so nice to finally meet you.
Ya, finally we meet ya. Kayaknya nanti next kita harus ketemu nggak sih buat ngobrol-ngobrol?
I'd love to hang out. Kakak di Jakarta juga kan ya, around the area.
Tidak, ini sedang di Malang,
Oh,
Keisha. So, I'm
I
basically
see.
live in Malang currently, tapi memang sering ke Jakarta buat tugas. Asik tugas nggak tuh? Gitu.
I see.
Kalau Keisha sekarang tetap di Jakarta ya? Reside di Jakarta?
Ya, aku masih di sekitar Jakarta. Recently, I moved out of Bogor, so that's also nice.
Oh, I see. And I never been to Bogor
Hmm.
previously. Jadi kayak what I heard katanya udara Malang dan Bogor itu mirip-mirip kayak teduh gitu. Sering hujan. Itu bener nggak sih Bogor itu sering hujan?
Pas kita masih lebih muda, probably jawabannya iya, Kak. Tapi, recently climate
Oh,
change has
aduh.
messed
Iya,
things
iya,
up
iya.
for us. Tapi, yeah, I'd say it's relatively cooler. Mm.
I see. Kalau sama Bandung, Kes, kamu pernah nggak sih ngerasain di Bandung tuh gimana? Dingin nggak?
Oh, yeah, so it just so happens that my late grandmother lived in Bandung, so I used
Uh,
to go there almost every year back in the day. And I'd say Bandung is a lot colder, especially karena aku
Oh,
tinggalnya di Bogor yang masih lebih how do I say this, in the urbanized, so still a
mhm,
lot of pollution,
mm,
still a lot of traffic gitu. So I didn't really get to enjoy the cold and refreshing area.
nice. Ya, ya, ya. I think I need to visit Bogor and Bandung ya. I never been to that city before. Okay, so Keisha, as usual nih, sekarang ini kegiatannya lagi ngapain ya Keisha ya? Before kita masuk ke ini ya, menu utamanya tentang debat itu sendiri. Keisha belakangan ini lagi sibuk apa sih?
I guess I'm hard launching it, but I am
Mm-mm.
currently leaving my position as the
Mm.
HRGA and legal at a marketing agency called Vital MTC. I'm currently
Mm-mm.
looking for new roles. But recently, I guess something that might be more relevant to debaters is that I
Mm-mm.
was part of the core education panel for IWGM 2025 and also ALSA Ecom 2025, which was really nice, really pleasant. A lot of
Wah.
things happened that could be interesting to talk about after.
Ya, ya, ya. Nah, boleh dijelasin nggak kemarin Alpha Icom-nya ada hal spesial yang happen nggak sih? Itu yang menang yang anak Brawijaya ya? Ya
Oh,
bukan sih?
I guess it would be relevant to say that, by the way, fun fact, aku sebetulnya aku
Mm-mm.
dari Jawa Timur. My dad is from Malang, and my
Oh,
family, to this day, some of them live in Sidoarjo. So it is kind of a happy result that both of the teams in grand finals were from Jawa Timur. Yay, Uner and Ube.
Yay!
Congratulations to your juniors. Wee.
Tetap ada
Oh my God,
pride-nya
Kak,
ya
does
yang
that mean
kebawa ya.
mm, I wouldn't say pride because I had no contribution to that at all.
Hmm,
I'm just happy for
happy.
your yeah, just as a whole. Gitu. I tried asking Kak Andre if
Hmm,
it was the first time this happened, and I'm not sure
mm-mm,
I received a definitive answer, but
mm-mm,
I still think it's pretty cool that both teams were from Jawa Timur. Which brings I have a question then. Were you
mm,
involved in the training for UBS team this year? They were like really strong.
No, 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 no. Aku udah nggak ada megang debat lagi, case sejak
Mm-mm.
2020. Itu aku udah fokus di company. Cuma memang apa nih namanya, tim UB tuh kadang suka tuker-tukeran informasi sih sama alumni-alumninya formasi kayak gitu-gitu. Dan what I heard
Mm.
selama itu adalah kalau Hema itu masuk ke finalnya NUDC, dan itu kita kayak sharing aja gitu di grup kayak UB masuk nih di grand final UBDC NUDC, sorry. Nah, terus yang kedua itu because aku follow Hema ya, jadi terupdate lah gitu kayak
Oh.
kayak what, sejauh yang aku tahu UB itu belum pernah menang Al-Sawi. Jadi kayak wah ini udah kayak
Mm.
gila ya gitu, bisa membawa gitu. Keren sih, emang keren sih.
Congratulations.
Hmm,
You
ya
must be so
kita
proud of
happy.
like your juniors, your youngsters, which
Iya,
call well, you consider them your babies to an
iya,
extent. Yeah, gitu lah.
very very
Tapi
junior
it's so nice.
baby.
Hmm. It's so
Ya ya
nice
ya,
then that it means that you're still connected to them. You're still, following up with the updates and whatnot. Again, I thought
ya.
Hema's speech in grand finals was just brilliant. I was
Hmm,
obsessing in it with chat, through chat with
bener.
another 2018 debater. It was really good.
Hmm, itu juga makanya kemarin tuh aku undang Hema. Dia ada di salah satu episode ini. Dan itu yang kayak, oh oke, now I understand kenapa dia bisa menang Asaui gitu. Dari ngobrol santai aja tuh
Mm.
udah kelihatan auranya gitu. Ya ampun, kita udah jadi ngomongin orang ya kan. Now we are talking about you, Keisha, about you.
Oh.
Nah, kalau dari Keisha sendiri, awal kenal debat itu kapan dan akhirnya memilih UI ini, apakah awalnya emang karena debating community-nya atau ada alasan lain? Kayak gimana deh? Tolong diceritakan.
Oh. Mm. So to boil things down, this is the most acceptable form of rebellion that I could
Oh,
do as a child.
mm,
Let me explain. So,
mm,
I was privileged enough to have supportive parents that put me in a lot of courses that I may or may not necessarily enjoy.
mm,
They made me do the basic Asian kid thing like
mm,
violin, piano, Kumon, Mandarin. They made me take French classes, the IPB, that will last all the way to 9 p.m. Even as a fifth grader, I
wow.
slept through the lessons. Sabi kaya, it was a bunch of skills that people thought I would need. So
Mm,
when the opportunity presented itself in high school, where we were allowed to choose like extracurriculars, I took the opportunity to do debate because I thought my English was acceptable and I argued with a lot of people on the internet anyway, so I might as well get an award out of it. Um, and the Mandarin teacher in my school, Miss Indah, who I haven't gotten in touch with for quite a while, she was Kak Gaby Ui's Gabrielle Charlotte's
mm,
senior. So she asked for a favor and asked her to coach Regina Pachis at that time. And after that, Kak Gaby was not available. So we also got coaching from Kaodi, alumnum Kaodi, and a few other UI names. And most of our coaches were just from UI.
mm,
And you know, when you see a lot of great people share something in common, you would think that that's something you would want for yourself because you think you would earn the same like charisma factor to it, right? So the plan was UI, eventually the plan became FHUI because I thought that would somehow increase my chances for ASA UI. Spoiler alert, it didn't help. But unfortunately, throughout my varsity days, I've only joined ASA UI, ASA Ecomp as a participant only once. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's the entire story. Oh, and I also have a practical reason for it. It's that,
Hmm?
you know, debating competitions back in the day, they used
Hmm?
to be held on offline and they would be held on weekdays. So that means banyak dispensasi. So you're allowed not
Skip
to join
school.
classes. Yes, which is really nice.
I see. Jadi ada ini ya alasan teknikalnya. Nah, kamu tadi bilang nih, Kes, aku jadi penasaran nih. Kalau misalnya kamu juga banyak argue di internet, emang argue apa sih, Kes? Kamu menanggapi orang-orang.
Oh, first disclaimer is that I was immature and I've grown since then. But without giving any specifics, there are a lot
Hmm,
of people on the internet who
mm-mm,
are confident and wrong, and self-righteous little V thought it was her job to get things straight, set it
mm.
straight, right the wrongs. Took a long while for me to understand that it was not necessary. Some people just choose to believe in things that are convenient for them. Ooh.
Correct, correct. Tapi bener sih, itu kita emang belajar dengan seiring berjalannya waktu. Nggak yang tiba-tiba kita
Mhm.
mengerti gitu. But I understand, karena dulu aku juga sempet ya kayak gitu, kayak nanggepin orang-orang. Sekarang udah kayak, ah, terserah deh, ah, terserah deh. Udah gitu kayak,
Mm-mm.
ya udah deh, boleh deh gitu. Terserah deh gitu.
Mm-mm.
Nah, terus guys, tadi kamu bilang kamu berharapnya untuk masuk ke law faculty because kamu juga pingin turun di alpha ecom-nya. Nah, unfortunately kamu cuma turun sekali. May I know why during your time in varsity, why only join once?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, so in the process of getting into UI, getting into EDS UI, and eventually like being really fond of the organization, I became a member of the board of executives. I started off as the staff of projects. That was fun, but eventually I became the head of training and development, which is
Mm,
the division in BEDSOE that was responsible for things like registering for competitions, holding internal selections, and also looking for coaches. What ended up happening most of the time is that as the person behind the scenes who's responsible for, looking for coaches, you realize that there's a shortage of coaches in the organization at the time. So, the first time I did not end up joining the competition, like it was, I had to join the coaching team. And at the time, I was a wee baby coach, and the rest were like people who were like 4 years older than me and stuff. And this is funny. This is going to sound a little bit like traumatizing, but I promise
mm,
it's funny. So it was during the pandemic. I was
mm,
the only coach at that time. I was really nervous about giving, feedback to
mm,
these really amazing people who were my age. So I had a little bit of a panic attack and the camera wasn't on. So the only thing they could hear was like me breathing really hard and I wasn't really able to say anything. But then my beloved NUDC teammate, um, unmuted his mic and he said like, "Hey, Kiss, I think you're breathing a little loud." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry." So I shut it down and I continued my attack. So yeah, most of the time it ends up being out of necessity, just like, someone has to coach. Did I end up becoming a good coach? I would say some days yeah, some days not, but someone had to do it.
I see. So it's kind of hard untuk nemuin coach ya waktu pandemi itu ya.
Hmm. I would say that the pandemic wasn't the only reason why, but it
Hmm.
definitely did not help because a lot of people, I think a lot of the reasons why some of our alumni, some of our
Hmm.
seniors would really try and make time is because there's the offline hangout aspect of it where you don't only,
Hmm.
coach the kids, but you also get to talk to your friends. You also get to hang out with your friends. And the pandemic making everything online surely
Ya,
did not help. But there's
ya.
also other factors to it. Like um, there was certain batches in which we didn't really
Mm,
have a lot of active debaters. Either they found other activities that suited them better, or
mm,
maybe there were personal issues that made them mm, less willing to continue or take a more active role in the community, which is
mm,
totally valid.
mm, 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 mm. Oke, since kita udah ngomongin tentang IDS UI-nya dan ternyata kamu adalah jadi orang yang banyak di belakang layar yang nge-support yang debater-debater aktifnya. What I want to know, karena kamu adalah first person dari UI yang aku invite, jadi aku ingin tahu dari kamu, basically IDS UI ini tipikalnya kayak gimana? Kalau misalnya kemarin aku ngobrol ya, bareng anak UGM, mereka itu kayak yang clear banget, ada AD/ART dan lain sebagainya. Nah, kalau sama
Mm-mm.
anak ITB nih, yang SEF, itu mereka tuh lebih yang nggak formal-formal banget ya, kita self-driven aja gitu. Nah, kalau UI ini tipikal organisasi yang kayak gimana? Terus typically kalian latihannya tuh kayak gimana? Dan sistem regenerasinya kalau di UI sendiri tuh gimana?
Hmm, um, I don't know if this is a particularly entertaining
Mm,
answer, but I would
mm,
say that it really isn't that different from any of the other organizations.
mm,
Back in the day, people used to compare it with those two institutions that you just
mm,
mentioned. Like,
mm,
um, this is just my understanding of what
mm,
people have told me, so I'm sorry if this isn't exactly accurate. But UGM fears more on the like strict side. They practice a lot more often. They have a more formal, a more valid,
mm,
a more enforceable structure. Yeah, ITEB is a little bit on the relaxed side, and I think what people used to say back in the day was that UI was just somewhere in between, like quite average. We do
mm,
have a structure, but we still do have formal selections that you should still abide to. But in terms of coaching and whatnot, I would say it's still a little bit more relaxed. Although I would say that when compared to other coaches, I could be more on the rigid side of things. I could be
mm,
the one that's more, formal. Um, for example, during internal selections, internal competitions, there are certain institutions that where if you made it, say, into the top six for a selection for two teams, then you're free to choose your teammates from all the six members who made it through the selection. Um, because people want to take into account like personal beef, whatnot. Um, I'd say that unless it is truly impossible for you to work with those individuals, just stick with the original ranking. So first, second, third with the same team, fourth, fifth, sixth. But I understand that the new model is more enjoyable for everyone participating, for the coaches, and also for the kids who eventually become the delegates. So I'll just go with the flow.
mm, oke. Kalau dari sistem regenerasinya di UI sendiri tuh gimana, guys? Kalau apa namanya? Apakah kalian itu kalau kemarin tuh ya kalau misalnya kayak di UGM tuh kayak mereka ada seleksi tertulis, terus ada interview. Nah, kalau di UI sendiri gimana? Apakah semua ingin join ditampung atau kayak gimana?
Oh my. I only remember the selections from the time when I was active, so that would be like 2018 and BE for a year after that. And I think from what I've heard about the BE after, so this might not still be relevant to this day, but we pretty much had like a Google form we had to fill in. We wrote
Ah,
essays that would be judged. We also had like interviews. Um, some of the questions at the interviews were not exactly comfortable questions, and some people thought that they wouldn't be accepted based on whether or not they agree with the sentiments or like, political correctness. But that's not exactly the case. You
mm,
see, the thing that we're
mm,
looking for the most is how well you're able to articulate or justify your opinion. But when you don't understand something, you make assumptions, and other people take those assumptions as the truth. So I would say that there were people who definitely took their assumptions on what the process would look like and ran with it. But honestly, it's not like if you don't make an 83 speech worthy answer, then you're not going to be accepted. It's not like that because
Mhm.
eventually I think what's great about the community or sorry, about the organization is that they believe in people's ability to grow. So yeah, unless like you majorly mess up or you just don't bother with continuing the application, you have a high chance of making it in.
I
So,
see, I see. Tapi itu benar banget sih, kayak menarik banget kalau misalnya believe in everyone, they can develop more. Karena itu aku tipikal orang yang aku nggak tahu debat dari SMA, nggak kayak Keisha gitu loh. Aku baru debat itu waktu di varsity, dan itu benar-benar dari awal banget dan kita belum punya komunitasnya, jadi benar-benar bangun sendiri gitu. Nah, kalau misalnya Keisha tahu UB gitu, nah aku tuh justru udah di UB di fakultasnya gitu. Jadi spesifik
mm,
di suatu fakultas gitu. Dan kita ngembangin debatnya sendiri gitu. Jadi lebih
mm,
limited lagi orang-orangnya. Nah, kalau di UI itu pernah nggak sih ada selama Keisha ini ya ada di IDS, pernah nggak sih mengalami seret generasi?
um, well, before I just continue though, I just wanted to say that I
Mm-mm.
really look up to, I admire people who started debating in varsity
Hah,
because it's just
iya.
completely intimidating. But one of my favorite coaches ended up being one of the people who also started in varsity. So I'd say it's just really cool watching these people like catch up with the other people who spent like, 3 to 6 years on it and beat them. So good for you and other varsity debaters.
Yeay, varsity debaters.
Yay. But also when it comes to not having enough people for regeneration,
Mm,
even in an organization that you would think have it easy, like we, at the beginning, it usually isn't hard. Like when they're still new, they're still looking to join things like newbies.
mm,
Like I don't know, is there still a competition? Kandi, like back in the day, that's like the two competitions that are for newbies, right? And then later on, we'll have pro-ams, and those things usually it's not that hard for new participants. But, as you go on, people get presented with more opportunities. Some people choose internships, some people choose other, competitions, and some people choose the easy, slow
mm,
life, or maybe tending to their, personal and private matters. All completely valid options. And that definitely happened to us when we struggled to find enough people for other competitions that are not catered to rookies in the community.
mm.
But that's also why we usually call upon help from people who, have left the community for a while. So say they haven't joined a competition in a while, we would like reach out. They haven't coached in a while, but they graduated. We reach out to them, whatnot. So that's what we try and do. But at the end of the day, especially now, from what I've heard, now that the kids have a lot more opportunities and there's like some sort of pressure for them to not pressure. I guess it's just a lot more beneficial to join internships over any other activities because of, the expectations these days. Yeah, I would say it isn't easy.
Mm, 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 mm. Dan kalau di UI itu bahkan sampai sekarang tuh Keisha masih bantuin coaching nggak sih?
I'm currently part of the board of advisors
Mm,
for this year's BE, helping out
mm,
DZ and Avant-Garde. Really lovely individuals, by the way. But in terms of coaching, I will be joining the coaching team for that national competition happening later in the year, but um, because of other commitments, I will
mm,
only be joining the coaching team in late July. So not as of right now,
mm,
but I am planning to, even though
mm,
I keep telling myself that I should probably stop. There was a period of time where um Ka Leon, the softie
mm,
she is, Um, she basically told TND to stop asking me to coach because I would not turn them down. I joined too many coaching teams, so soft band for a while, but
Mm,
yeah.
I see, I see. Oke, but kamu tuh tipikal yang there is no life outside debate atau kayak kamu udah realize kayak I have life outside debate kayak gitu.
On that, I think up to 2021, 2022, I tried keeping a balance between debate and my friends, but debate usually ended up taking priority. Like most of my weekends would be spent joining competitions, training, coaching, judging. But after 2022, so the side note is that I'm a huge nerd. I'm a huge fan of things. In 2021, um, lore drop. I was a huge fan of Genshin Impact, the game, and one of the TikToks
Hmm.
that I made kind of went viral, and I was invited to be a part of the content creators for the application, where they would send me in-game rewards, they sent me merchandise from Singapore and stuff. But um, it was between that content creating and debating, and I ended up choosing debating. After that, I tried getting back into the community and I tried to indulge more in my games. I joined another group trying to sell merch at Komifuro. I tried joining D&D groups. Ever since like 2022, which is my last WDC, I would say I did an okay job at finding a life outside of debate.
Great job, Keisha. Great job.
This is embarrassing.
Because ya, what I observe right now, kadang ada orang yang memang hidupnya itu di debat, jadi very very sensitive. Kayak kadang kan di debat itu udah kayak kerjaan ya, Keisha ya. Kadang sikut-sikutan, kadang
Mm-mm.
senggol-senggolan, yang kayak gitu. Takutnya
Mm-mm.
gitu sih, kalau misalnya you don't have life outside debate, kamu akan tergantung sama debat. Nah ini bahaya. Kayak, hey, 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 hidup berjalan. Life goes
Mm-mm.
on, life goes on. Nah, case
Mm-mm.
during your time debating, gitu, yakin deh, pasti there is some moment that you have disagreement with the adjudicator. What I want to know, how you deal with this disagreement. I mean like, kadang kan kita kalau emang kalah, kita kerasa kalah, ya udah gitu kan. Tapi kan ada momen yang kayak, ih kenapa gitu, kayak kamu udah ngerasa yakin nih harusnya aku bisa nih, ini aku menang nih. Kayak, oke nih timku gitu, yakin deh break, ternyata tidak gitu. How you deal with that kind of disagreement? Do you confront your ages and asking them until you
Mm-mm.
satisfy, or how?
Um, so one of the wisest things that my high school coach taught me was when I was in high school, like I was really upset about the result of a round, and she told
Mm,
me to never blame the judge because
mm,
as faulty as their weighing could have been, as much externalities was involved, there were still things that you could have done to win that round. So don't blame the judges. It's just not healthy. But then again, I was not emotionally mature. My frontal lobe has not developed. So I'm sure there were instances in which my dissatisfaction like seeped through and was visible to the judge I asked. Um, in fact, I was only made aware recently that in one of the IVETs I joined,
mm,
a judge felt like they were confronted by me. And I just realized recently that the people who do the confronting might not remember it, but the people who were confronted remember it for a long time, and it spreads faster than wildfire. So, in hindsight, I think I should have cared less about it. But then again, these are like moments of weakness.
mm,
But yeah, I think that's also something I try to tell the people that I'm mentoring or like coaching that just don't blame your judges. It's just not healthy. Which, since you've invited me
mm.
onto the show, I've done my research and I've also watched the other episodes. And I noticed that this was a recurring question. So I'd also like to ask the question back, which is, um, why is this question, a recurring theme? Is there, something that you're looking for from the community? Does it have to do with something that happened in the past?
Hmm.
I
Okay.
mean, like, if you're comfortable with like answering, because I'm
Okay,
sure
that's
there's a
okay.
few, um, I really like listening to the stories of the other debaters, but I'm sure that some of your viewers are also very curious, not only about the people you've invited, but also Kak Nila. Mm-mm.
Terus Keisha nih bisa nih jadi host barengan sama aku. So yes, actually, because I've been in that position when I feel like wronged in a way, like
Mm,
kenapa sih kok dia yang menang aku enggak, dan akhirnya bukan nge-confront sih, lebih kayak bertanya gitu, kenapa kayak gini, dan mm, question their decision kayak gitu. Cuma kalau sampai yang kayak nge-ban banget tuh nggak pernah, cuma bertanya gitu. Dan belakangan juga kayak banyak, bukan banyak sih, kayak beberapa orang juga kayaknya menerima decision-nya itu in a hard way. Jadi mereka butuh coping mechanism tertentu kayak update di X, update di IG story dan lain sebagainya. But I think the way people handle um, the disappointment of
mm-mm,
the decision ini yang kayaknya beda-beda, dan gimana ya? It's not the adjudicator, but it's more like other people that basically didn't involve in the
mm-mm,
conversation, but ya mereka, tapi merekanya kayak apa nih namanya, berkomentar. Ya nggak apa-apa sih
mm-mm,
berkomentar gitu, but just within your
mm-mm,
internal friends or very close
mm-mm,
friends. But I don't think it's wise to make an update about someone else disappointment. Gitu sih menurutku. Dan
mm-mm,
akhirnya aku jadi beberapa orang aku tanyain ini karena aku pingin tahu gitu, apakah this is something yang memang masih happen. Kalau dulu tuh sering banget, guys, sering banget,
mm-mm,
sering banget. Jadi kayak apa namanya tuh, ngerasa kalau jurinya ini tidak proper dalam ngejuri certain motion, atau dianggap
mm,
kayak nggak make sense decisionnya,
mm-mm,
itu udah deh mereka nggak hold back, mereka langsung kayak kenapa nih, kenapa, kenapa, kenapa.
mm-mm,
Apalagi kalau misalnya udah yang top top ya, kayak semifinal kayak gitu-gitu, udah kayak gitu. Juri-juri udah
mm-mm,
kayak udah deh, siap-siap deh, pasti bakal dikonfront nih gitu. Jadi di sini bukan yang
mm-mm,
kayak question ya, nge-confrontnya tuh kayak mereka tuh kayak
mm-mm,
tapi kan ini gini, itu
mm-mm,
gitu gitu. Jadi
mm-mm,
dulunya di debat kayak gitu. Nah, aku ingin
mm-mm,
tahu apakah sekarang itu masih ada tren kayak gitu. Tapi ternyata what I heard, kayaknya orang-orang yang aku undang itu mereka udah pada mature. Di mana aku merasa waktu zaman itu aku masih childish banget. Jadi kayak
mm-mm,
wow, orang-orang sekarang udah yang
mm-mm.
kayak mature kayak gitu, kayak wow gitu.
Ay.
But I agree with your coach karena itu juga yang diajarin sama coachku dulu pertama kali. Dia selalu ngomong kayak hal pertama itu harusnya kamu nggak nyalain adjudicatornya, but look inside you gitu. You need a
Mm-mm,
reflection. Kayak reflect kamu tadi tuh ngomongnya apa. Mungkin kamu yang nggak jelas, mungkin jurinya nggak nangkep karena memang nggak clear strukturnya dan lain sebagainya kayak gitu sih gitu. Jadi itu yang bikin aku untuk gitu, being humble
mm-mm,
gitu. Gitu. Jadi kayak bener sih,
mm-mm,
kayak jangan salahin orang dulu ya. Look inside
mm-mm,
dulu nih gitu. Jangan kita
mm-mm.
yang masih kurang. Gitu sih, Kes. Semoga
Tapi
menjawab ya, Kes.
kalau aku boleh tambahin juga kak, kayak I
Apa
totally
tuh?
get where you're coming from. Like when in 2021, jadi kayak itu baru awal-awal. No, I would say awal, tapi kayak debating online wasn't as common. So when I
Hmm.
was part of the CAP, one of the things that happened was that the coach contacted the judge
Oh,
through a
wow.
different channel that was not provided by the organizing committee, and we had to step in. And yeah, it is unhinged the lengths people would go to instead of just looking inside and, supporting people they're coaching, for example, or supporting their juniors, it is unhinged. But recently, I feel like there may have been several things that might not exactly help with this issue because, we tell the kids to respect the judges, but are the judges also respecting them? If I may circle back to something you asked me earlier, if there was like anything interesting that happened in ASAICOM, I want to vaguely address like a post that the CAP made on
Mhm.
Facebook. Do you happen to be in the Indonesian debating Facebook group? Did you see the post?
Mm. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I did, I did.
That is, I feel like it was, I was, it so happened that the CAP who was checking that entry, just revealing it right now, I was the person to check it. And we
Mm.
were so lucky to have caught this. We were so lucky that this person messed up and sent the wrong file. But I think it is a blatant form of a disrespect to the people who he was going to judge and the people he might have judged in the past because if you saw the transcript, I think it heavily alluded to the AI not only knowing certain terms, but also being trained to understand these terms. So I would understand if participants became less trusting of the judges that they get. So it is the fight just doesn't end, I guess. Like you think you solve one thing, like, the confrontation outside of the allowed platforms, and then another issue pops up.
Yeah, yeah. Then previously, I also asked the question to another debater about this, and then it's just like what I want to know is more into if you um a CIP and then you know this person personally, you know this person personally, you know that this person actually have great adjudicating and also a great debater, but
Mm-mm,
then akhirnya dia mess up karena dia menggunakan AI gitu. Nah, kamu tahu nih
mm-mm,
orang basically bagus kok dia
mm-mm,
adjudicatingnya dan debate-nya juga oke kok gitu dan well known
mm-mm,
gitu. Cuman ya itu dia apa namanya kepleset menggunakan AI. Will you still invite
mm-mm,
this person or not gitu. Dan
mm-mm.
udah dijawab sih. Jadi silakan kembali ke episode bersama Reinhardt. Ada jawabannya di situ. Gitu. Jadi kalau Keisha personally, now I want to throw the question to you. Let's say ini bukan orang itu deh. Let's say it's someone that you know, you well known this person, dan kamu tahu dia basically kemampuannya juga oke. Mungkin dia kepepet tugas kantor, jadi akhirnya dia pakai AI, ketahuan pula gitu kan. Will
Mm-mm,
you give this person a second chance to
mm-mm,
join your adjudicator team, or you pass?
mm-mm. Unfortunately, if we are that close, uh, I'm sorry if this answer comes off as very cold, but if we're that close, I probably conflict that person. If I didn't conflict that person, that means that
Hmm.
that person, I may be able to talk to them as a friend, but that does not mean I completely, have faith in them as a judge. And I think that their actions speak louder than their words. Um, Before we put out that announcement on Facebook and before we put out a different announcement for the judges, I reached out to this individual through chat to let him know that he was uninvited. And one of the things that I told him in that text was that for any judges who are struggling, say you simply don't have the time, another, obligation has popped up, or maybe you were overwhelmed, maybe you're not in the best like headspace to be doing this. There are several things that you could have done. One of them being just simply reaching out and asking for a deadline extension, or the most noble thing that they could have done is just to step down from judging at all. Let them know that you don't have the time to fully commit because that's what people, would rather do. Even if you can't join the judging this time, there are other opportunities. If you're really that strapped of opportunities, please don't be shy and ask them that. Let them know like, hey, I simply don't have the time to do the judge just now, or I might not be able to completely focus. I think I would have to step down, but I am looking for opportunities. I am in need of opportunities. Please keep me in mind if you have any coaching opportunities or judging opportunities in the future. Like in the short term, it you might be missing out on like one judging gig, but it respects both the CAP and you as a person. Um, in the Facebook group message that we've sent, we've explicitly stated that this was not a call to ban this individual. But for me personally, I would not invite him back because it is a violation of our trust as CAP. Other CAPs are free to do so, but this person saw who invited him and assessed that it was a risk worth taking to violate that trust. So I'd say maybe he would continue becoming that same level of judge or debater. Maybe he'll carry that same level of conduct, but he was free to do that anywhere else. And I've also heard that this person is also currently trying out for a different opportunity. I wish them the best of luck, and I also wish everyone else working with them the best of luck as
Luck.
well. Let's just, he's expressed his commitment to not repeat the same mistakes. Let's hope that will be the case.
Yeah, I hope so ya. Especially in Alpha Ecom, I understand karena aku turun juga waktu itu cuma sempat turun sekali because it was in my uh, last chance to join Alsa Ecom dan aku ngerti banget itu
Oh.
gimana hektiknya. Ekor dari pagi sampai malam, pagi lagi sampai malam lagi. N1-nya yang sebegitu banyaknya, terus juga kok apa namanya partisipannya juga sebegitu banyaknya gitu. Jadi aku kayak wah gila sih ini pasti even penyelenggaranya pun under stress. Bahkan mungkin LO-nya aja mungkin stres ya. Soalnya juga
Mm-mm.
belum lagi movingnya dan waduh dulu itu yang paling diributin adalah venue. Kalau dulu ya itu venue
Hmm.
kayak kenapa sih kok
Oh my God.
apanya debater hall-nya di sini, debate-nya di fakultas yang antau berantah gitu. Jadi kita
Oh.
nyampe,
Mm.
literally nyampe tuh kayak cuma 5 menit, waktunya habis.
Mm-mm.
Mesti kayak gitu. Jadi dulu tuh kayak
Mm-mm.
gitu. Sekarang kasusnya udah lebih ini ya, teknologi gitu.
Oh my God, I thought you were talking about like emergency bids and how back in the day, basically institutions would throw the responsibility to each other, and basically you just kind of relied on their, I don't know, conscience to realize that, oh, we haven't hosted this classic in a while.
Iya.
We probably should. Something like that. Um, that's also the entire reason why UE bid for, I think it was IFA 2021.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought you were referring to that. Oh my God, yeah, back in the day we had to commute so far. Yeah.
Kan? Tapi this also happened uh, long before that too, guys ya. Jadi kayak
Mm-mm.
nggak cuma di Hypertix kayak wah jauh banget ya jalannya.
Yeah.
Lucu banget sih tapi itu. Tapi itu apa namanya benar-benar jadi ini sih kayak pelajaran dan apa namanya kayak
Mm-mm.
oh gini ya kalau soal UI itu. Dan temanku justru yang jadi N1 itu dia ngerasa dapat banyak experience, dapat banyak
Mm.
exposure tentang debat dan
Mm-mm.
dia bilang dia belajar banyak sih dari apa namanya
Mm.
proses Alsa UI itu gitu. Jadi kayak oh happy dia juga happy gitu karena dia dapat something new gitu yang enggak di offer dari kompetisi lainnya ya beda lah istilahnya kayak Al-Saudi nge-offer apa yang lain juga nge-offer apa ya kan jadi dia
Mm-mm.
sangat-sangat happy walaupun akhirnya salah
Mm-mm.
satu teammateku juga apa terbantai ya Aka sakit jadi
Yeah.
apa namanya jadi selama debat tuh dia yang kayak Aduh, jangan bilang pingsan nih. Takut banget kalau dia pingsan di tengah-tengah speech.
Hmm.
Oh, itu sih. Dan masih ya, atau sekarang udah dibedain ya? Alfa UI apakah masih menggabungkan kayak SMA-nya pagi, terus varsity-nya siang ke malam gitu? Masih? Enggak.
The most recent one, iya, jadi varsity ya siang, high school ya
Oke,
pagi, gitu. Persis,
oke, oke.
not too different from the past.
Sih. Nah, Case, since kamu juga si AP, kamu juga kalau misalnya kamu nonton, kamu pasti juga tahu deh aku nanya di ini. Kamu tuh suka mosi di bidang apa sih, Case? Apa sih mosi-mosi yang bikin
Ah.
kamu, hah, this is my food gitu, I'm gonna eat it gitu. Apa, Case? Apa?
uh, Unfortunately, as boring as this sounds, I don't have a favorite heading, but I do have a heading that I have beef with. I I do not like relationship motions, even though that ended up being one of the best documented like rounds that I have posted
Hmm?
online. I do not like relationship motions because um they're a little bit too subjective for me, and it's just I get that there's the joy of like being able to portray things and articulate those feelings. Um, but I do think that some of this would be best discussed with a professional in the room and not taken out on a bunch of teams trying to fight in semifinals or grand finals. So I don't like those, but I would say that based on my recent experience in Asai Comply, we're trying to really make it as diverse as possible. So in our sheets, we had like a counter for how many this house would motions we have, how many this house believes, just to make sure that everything is on track. And um, to us, this is new, but to the kids, this is something they just live with. Oh my God, they're about to start asking us if like we personally knew dinosaurs. But um, these motion types, like this house predicts, this house hopes, I find those fascinating. And I know some people don't
Mm,
exactly agree with it, but I don't think that if this is the direction that the community and the sport has chosen to take, I would say we just proceed with it and see what new strategies, what new frameworks, what new structures we could use. So,
mm,
not exactly like a heading, but more of a motion type.
I see, I see. Oke, sekarang sudah ada pembicaraan tentang motion type ya. Kalau dulu yang dibicarain headingnya, kalau sekarang motion type-nya, oke, baik. Ternyata aku sudah sedinosaurus itu ya, baiklah. Nah,
We're both.
guys, kan kamu juga nge-edu dan juga jadi CAP juga. Nah, what I want to
Mm-mm,
know, ketika kamu mencari suatu motion, gitu, kayak kamu lagi cooking this motion nih, gitu. Nah,
mm-mm,
selain kamu akan make sure kalau itu balance. Biasanya apalagi nih parameternya sampai kamu bisa bilang, oke, this is good to go untuk di-discuss di CIP group, for example.
mm-mm. Oh, I think people I've worked with can formally attest to this, but I don't put in a lot of oceans unless I'm sure that
Hmm.
it's something that I really like, or at least I'm really sure would be quite relevant, quite balanced, not tone deaf, politically correct, whatnot. But another thing that I'm picky about is just the variation of motion types in a competition. Because I've had experiences in the past as a participant where we would have to deal with like 5 rounds of this house regrets motion. And I get that like not having to talk about feasibility or likelihood is fun, but it doesn't give people room to show off the different motion types that they've practiced, whatnot. So yeah, I built that in the sheets where we have like a counter just to make sure that one motion type doesn't like exceed the other. Yeah.
Agree. Nah, dulu orang itu juga Apalagi kalau misalnya dulu tuh aku di Jawa Timur tuh lebih banyak nge-ekorin eh, high school debate gitu
Hmm.
kan. Nah, kadang
Mm-mm.
tuh pelatihnya atau ya anak-anak SMA ini kadang mereka tuh waktu itu masih belum punya knowledge atau masih belum ada exposure tentang gimana sih cara membuat motion. Jadi mereka tuh simply yang suka selain nyalain Eju, mereka tuh juga suka nyalain motion. Jadi mereka kayak ini motionnya nih berat sebelah gitu kayak. But have
Mm-mm.
you exposed to another possibility yang kayak gitu. Jadi ketika mereka dijelasin kayak oh iya ya, ternyata bisa gitu. Jadi mereka tuh
Mm-mm.
berpikir kalau this kind of motion itu came out of nowhere, nggak gitu gitu loh. Kita juga punya proses
Mm-mm.
diskusi. Nah bahkan nih tipikal kayak Keisha ini kan kayak aku nggak mau nih motionnya kebanyakan this household, this house regrets atau kayak gimana. Aku pengennya itu
Mm-mm.
balance kayak gitu. Nah ini nih sekolah-sekolah yang ini kayak kadang ada lagi yang kita kayak, Mbak Nila besok kita technical meeting minta 10 motion ya kayak, eh,
Mm-mm.
aduh, satu
Mm-mm.
motion aja nih kita harus mikir 10 motion
Nah,
less than
banget
24
Kak.
hour kayak kayak
Mm-mm.
aduh ya udah deh gitu akhirnya motion-motion
Mm-mm.
lamaku yang ku recycle ini gitu-gitu jadi
Mm-mm.
jatuhnya. Nah, itulah
Mm-mm.
teman-teman ya menjadi ekor itu tidak mudah. Motionnya harus benar-benar dipikir dan dipertimbangkan teman-teman. Nah,
Mm.
sekarang juggling between educator, debate, and coach, basically from these three, mana sih yang kamu enjoy the most? Jangan bilang jadi observer ya, gak ada pilihannya observer.
Oh, I'm not too good at observing because, I'm the type of person yang kayak I I would like to send a text that tells them like you can rebut it this way, you can PY this way. I've never actually done it, but there's
Mm,
that backseating tendency that
mm,
one can
mm,
have
mm.
when they're observing a debate. Um, Ironically, even though I haven't joined competitions in a long time, I prefer debating. I
Mm.
really want to come back to debating. I really want to be the one participating. Recently, I've had more opportunities, CAPing and judging. I do really want to get back to be debating. Nothing really beats that sensation of having other people understand what you say and prefer what you say over what others have to say. Judging is fun and all, but you know, it's just not as good as debating. Coaching, uh, there is an enjoyment in watching the people that participate in the coaching grow and develop. Sometimes they continue debating, other times they might choose different sports. I uh I'm not the best at becoming emotionally involved with the people I coach. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the strongest coach.
So you prefer debate ya over others?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
see. Apalagi observer ya, kayak nggak bisa banget nih kayak,
Yeah.
gatel ya, udah gatel. Nah,
Mm-mm.
Case, karena kamu tadi ngomong kalau misalnya kamu dari Fakultas Hukum. Nah, Fakultas Hukum itu kan setauku kan banyak jurusannya juga kan ya, kayak pidana, perdata, dan lain sebagainya. Nah, kalau Keisha sendiri tuh ambil jurusan atau konsentrasi ya namanya ya? Jurusan ya?
Hmm.
Jurusan apa, Kes?
Ya, miriplah lebih bidangnya mah.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
There's a specific word for it. Kayak I should remember, tapi I remember people calling it so or something like that, peminatan. So
Mm-mm,
we'll just go with
peminatan,
that,
betul.
yeah.
Betul, betul, peminatan.
It's been so long. Untuk aku sendiri pas lagi kemarin kuliah tuh sebetulnya I started off taking lessons di uh, it was internasional perdata and perdagangan internasional, tapi akhirnya skripsiku itu ambil yang tentang hukum kesehatan, kayak gitu.
Mm. Oke, ini aku baru pertama kali, guys. Literally baru pertama kali aku baru dengar hukum kesehatan.
Dah.
Apa sih hukum kesehatan itu, guys? Dan dia tuh mencakup apa gitu? Dan
Mm.
Apa nih contoh-contoh kasus hukum kesehatan gitu? Beneran deh, ini aku baru denger deh hukum kesehatan. Seru nih. Ayo, guys. Cerita.
Oh, I kind of have a funny story related to this. So, hukum kesehatan itu sendiri ngebahas hal-hal kayak kewajiban hukum terkait the way we carry out healthcare. So, what the government does, what they're allowed to do when it comes to doctors, what constitutes as malpractice, what doesn't, prosesnya for specific things that are carried out itu gimana. Terus ada perbedaan juga kan di antara dokter, di antara nurses, di antara kayak pegawai-pegawai puskesmas. Kalau misalnya, what's the word for it? I don't remember, tapi kayak uh, the government body that's responsible buat ngurusin kesehatan in a certain area, puskesmas gitu-gitu, rumah sakit swasta beda-beda. So, my
Oh.
thesis, skripsiku itu tentang proses rujukan. Specifically, what happened was that a man passed away because the proses rujukannya tuh tidak tepat di puskesmas tertentu. The nurse was well-intentioned. He was just letting this person know that they did not have the adequate facilities
Mm.
to treat this man. But because it wasn't proper, he couldn't get the medical help on time, and he passed on the way to the other hospitals, very sadly. Um, so the lore drop is that last year in 2024, I almost passed away. What happened was that I had a very sharp pain in my stomach, and I went to the hospital. En route to the hospital, I sent my friends some pictures of myself, and I said, if anything happens to me, use this picture as a joke. And then I
Uh,
found out at the hospital that, yeah, I genuinely could have. It was an abdominal, like, intestine issue.
mm.
But on the way, I just kept thinking, whoa, I'm going to become my own thesis. The thing that I discussed in my thesis was going to happen to me, especially because they didn't exactly have the adequate facility. So the patient in my thesis was made to go to a different hospital without like proses rujukan yang tepat, gak diproses dulu, gak dikontak dulu puskesmas lainnya. In my place, proses rujukannya udah gak tepat. They made me wait for like 1.5 hours. Um, but yeah, it was about to becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy type of event.
Hmm.
So there's that.
Hmm. Sungguh sedih ya mendengarnya. As someone that
Oh, it's funny.
use National Health Insurance juga, aka
Mm,
BPJS, aku juga
mm-mm,
merasakan itu sih.
mm,
Mungkin mungkin kalau misalnya aku tuh bukan tipikal yang ini ya merenggang nyawa ya, tapi
mm.
alergi. Cuma nih alerginya udah sebulan lebih
Oh
dan udah
no.
yang benar-benar gatel yang cuma tidak bisa dirujuk kalau belum ada riwayat diobatin dulu di puskesmas gitu.
Oh.
Padahal dokter umumnya udah tahu banget kalau eh, dia nggak bisa nih nanganin ini. Obat yang dikasih ini juga paling cuma ngurangin gatalnya doang, tapi nggak nge-solve problemnya gitu. Jadi kayak
Mm,
harus menunggu dulu 5 hari, baru kembali lagi, baru bisa dapat rujukan, kayak gitu-gitu. Oh,
mm,
I
mm,
thought, guys, kasusmu
mm,
itu jatuhnya ke pidana enggak ya ternyata? Atau pidana
mm.
but intertwined with hukum kesehatan atau gimana, guys?
At that time, I remember that the people that they ended up suing was the head of the Puskesmas, ketua. What was it called? I'm not sure. I'm so sorry if I got the terminology
Mm-mm.
wrong. Tapi it was like Balai Kesehatan, Bupati Kesehatan, Bupatinya juga,
Mm.
and they did win the case. So it was on BPJS gitu. Tapi like
Mm.
just to make things better, like with my case yang tadi aku cerita ke kakak, aku
Mm-mm.
juga BPJS kan. So on one hand, the entry process was hard, tapi on the other hand, the surgery was supposed to cost me and my family like exorbitant amounts of money, but it got sorted out because we were all with BPJS, and also the hospital took the initiative to explain to us why like the long process was necessary. Apparently, they were victims of like BPJS frauds that cost them up to like
Mm.
1 billion and so on and so forth. They're like, I didn't go to the Puskesmas. I went through a private hospital that was associated with BPJS, that was affiliated with BPJS. So yeah, it did hurt their business, but yeah,
Mm.
it could be better.
Mm. I know, right? Nah, thank you so much ya, Kesha. Ini suatu pengetahuan baru ada hukum kesehatan. So I thought kayak BPJS, terus insurance itu under either pidana or perdata gitu loh, Kes. Ternyata dia ada spesifik ininya lagi. Apakah, tapi kalau sistem kayak pembuatan peraturannya itu tetap sama ya, kayak
Oh,
hukum-hukum yang
uh,
lain.
di hukum kesehatan itu enggak, to clarify, itu enggak cuma pidana atau perdata sih, Kak. So it
Oh
changes
iya.
depending on what the specific issue is. Tapi hukum kesehatan just focuses on that specific aspects of like the relationship between hospitals and the patients, the, healthcare providers and the patients and whatnot. So really depending on the case, it could go pidana or perdata. But
Hmm,
in terms
I
of
see.
uh, formulating the regulations, again, it still depends on what specific thing you're about to discuss.
I
Gitu.
see. I see. Berarti emang dia very very specific law gitu ya. I see. Duh, kan dapat ilmu baru nih dari Keisha gitu. Aku belum pernah denger nih hukum kesehatan beneran baru ini dan kayak ada loh gitu.
You'll have to forgive me for the lack of specifics. I ended up fulfilling the stereotype of that one debater who had too much fun in the circuit, so we don't really have that deep understanding of the major we're in.
Apakah kamu tipikal debater yang jangan sampai kuliah mengganggu debate gitu?
Evidently not. So
Oke, no.
this is a cautionary tale, but the reason
Hmm,
why I was not exactly able to graduate at like 3.5 years or like 4 years, like most of my peers, was because of debate. Let me explain. So, for one of the mandatory courses in the earlier years, we had like a midterm exam. Unfortunately, I already registered for a certain competition, the Jogja, at that time.
hmm,
So I took it easy and I was like, I thought it was just like high school. So I had like an achievement from that. I had like the letter typed out regarding how I'd like to ask for permission to skip midterms because of it. Turns out there was a part in the process that I did not properly do. And because I didn't take that midterm exam, I failed that class and I had to retake it like 2 semesters after the final mandatory class that I had to take. So, um, having too much fun in debate did have like a real adverse impact on the timeliness of my graduation or
I
lack
see.
thereof.
That's okay. You still better dah daripada aku udah telat banget. Like literally menelatkan diri because I want to build my career in debate gitu kayak kenapa sih baru kenal debatnya waktu kuliah gitu. Padahal
Mm.
you know what di SMA aku itu ada debat sebenarnya dan one of my friend itu sering banget ngajak ngobrol aku dan aku tanya kayak buat apa sih kamu ngobrol hal kayak gitu kayaknya itu kok agak berat ya buat level anak SMA terus dia bilang kayak iya nih aku mau ada lomba debat kayak gitu kayak apa
Mm.
ya itu lomba debat gitu ternyata nyemplung gitu waktu varsity-nya gitu. I see. Dan aku juga tahu beberapa orang yang telat juga karena debat ya gitu ya case ya kita ingin achieve sesuatu emang harus ada yang di-sacrifice nggak semuanya bisa kita rangkul bersama-sama gitu. Oke
Mm-mm.
deh, Kes. Ih, ini kita udah sejam nih ngobrol bareng ya, Kes ya. Thank you so much, Kesha, atas waktunya. It was so fun ngobrol bareng kamu. Nanti kapan-kapan kalau aku ke Jakarta, ayo kita hang out. I think kita akan menjadi ini deh, tipikal teman yang happy-happy ngobrol-ngobrol lucu gitu.
Ayoko. Or
Oke,
if you'd
thank
like to visit Bogor someday, I'll return to the city just for you, just to give you a
yes,
tour. I'm sure other
yes.
Bogor debaters would be happy to take you around as well. Ayoko, let's hang out.
I haven't seen any list of IPB debater, so still on you ya.
Oh. Oh.
Oke deh. Oke, Keisha, thank you so much ya atas waktunya mau berbagi di sini. Dan teman-teman kalau misalnya tertarik untuk connect dengan Keisha, bisa mampir ke IG-nya yang akan ditulis di subscription. Oke, thank you so much dan see you next week. Bye.